Okay, I'm hoping you can let me know if you can hear me now. Sorry about that. Oh, you can hear me now. All right, yay. I'm sorry. I really, yay. Yay. Okay, so what I was saying is before I start talking about what's going on with my new top that I'm working on, you can see I've cut it out of my Irish linen. I've constructed most of it. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I do want to tell you that last night I was inducted into the National American Sewing Guild. They have a Lifetime Achievement Award Hall of Fame for a sewing educator that, helps further the love of sewing as an art and a life skill and supports ASG and so on and so forth. And I won that last night. So I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it was very exciting. And I just want to say that, I'm a pretty good talker, right? I can sit here and talk and share and do all the things. And last night when Margot, who is the sort of the head of the national ASG, she basically went down the list of all of the previous inductees, and I was listening to all of the names, and a lot of these names, people that I know in the sewing industry or in my sewing industry, have been my heroes in sewing. So I got emotional, and then when it was time for me to talk, I totally just blabbered about how much I love ASG. So it wasn't my finest talking moment. So anyway, that happened last night, and I think it's exciting. So yay. All right, so I did that, and now I am going to switch gears to show you what I'm wearing. And just, thank you for all of the congratulations. LOL, but sincere. Oh, I was sincere. I had this whole thing planned that I wanted to talk about, how I got to where I am today. And everything just went out the window because I started to get emotional, and then I started to panic because I couldn't think. So anyway, that's what happened. And it was very nice. And so that was exciting. So let me just stand up here. Oh, Polly is sending me something exciting. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is in Fab Fit Friday, but it might be showing up as a cool tool in the near future. So thank you, Polly, for sharing with me something that you shared. Relatable without an award speech. I know. I mean, it was fine. I don't think I embarrassed myself. I just think, whatever. And then just between you and me, or us, my husband was standing at the base of the stairs commenting like, sit up straight, honey. Don't look down. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh God, I was getting stage direction from my #1 fan. All right, so let me just show you this. I sewed this together, and I think you can see I'm wearing shorts, so don't get scared. But it does look like it's a little micro mini dress. I think I might want to shorten it, but I just want to share with you how it's coming out. Now, if you remember, the seam goes from here, and then it goes down, around, and around, and around, and around, and around to the back. Okay. So that's the design of it, and I'm pretty pleased. I just need to work out some things. So I'm gonna take this off, and I'm gonna show you some things that I did to construct it, and I'm gonna show you some things I might want to change. And I have a tank top on, so I'm gonna presto changeo. And actually, since I feel like this is a little bit casual for Fab Fit Friday, I'm just going to throw on my other bias dress, and I want to talk about this for 1 second as well. If anyone here is nervous or afraid to try sewing on the bias, I want to show you something that makes bias very forgiving and easy to work with. So I'm sure you've seen this dress before, and I'm just going to back up a little bit more so you can see more of it. I mean, it goes to the floor, But I want you to notice, move, like I'm crowded here. Let me move this girl out of the way so I can stand back a little bit farther. All right, so see how I have swishiness here? I like the fullness here, right? And then in the back, I feel like it's grabbing my butt. Let me show you that. So I think you can see, like, it fits, but it grabs me right here. So what I'm going to do, and this is why bias is so amazing. Let me just show you one thing here, and then I'm going to get back on the blue top. What I did in the seam, oh, it's inside out too, so it'll be easier for you to see. I put a godet starting right here, and it goes out in a V like this, and it goes all the way to the hem. So what that did was it created more ease here. So the cool thing about working on the bias is I can cut on the straight of grain, which is the bias direction, and insert another godet. So I'm going to create more fullness here by starting somewhere over here and slashing down this way to create more fullness so it doesn't grab my butt. So that's what I'm going to do to fix this dress. So it's just a little bit more comfortable to wear. And of course I have it on inside out, so just ignore that for now. I'm not going to switch it. But I do feel better that I'm not wearing my little black tank top for Fab Fit Friday. Let me just stop here. Hey RT Blades, welcome, welcome. All right, Kay is saying I really like the deep V, and Polly likes it better, and Victoria says that she loves the light blue top and the seam work. Yay. All right, so thank you for that. I do like it. I am excited. So let me just switch my view here. I want to show you some things. Okay, let me see. Okay, so let me just, oops, sorry, just fix this. All right, let me just get this back to here. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way, push all this stuff out of the way, out of the way, out of the way. My extra fabric out of the way. Everything's out of the way now. Okay, so let's look at this on the table. So the first thing I want to tell you is I shared this thread on Cool Tools this week, and it's a wash away thread, and I found another thing I wanted to use it for. I showed how to do a bunch of things, so if you're interested in this, I'll put a link to this in the description below when I get off. I forgot to do it before I came on. But in the back here, I just want to show you my back neckline. Okay, this is what it looks like, and how I decided to simplify the design is that I got rid of the extra band here, and I finished it with a bias strip of linen instead. And I also opened the neckline up a little bit more, so I made it a little bit farther from my neck here. So I was able to balance those out and you know, and make all that work. Now this is on the bias, so it's not gonna fray to the point where it's gonna come apart. I think I'm just gonna leave that like that. But what I did was, before I sewed this, and I have a photo I can show you. I took a photo, a couple photos actually. So the first thing I did was I gathered, let me just get this really close here so you can see, and let me just make it, hold on, make it a little darker so you can see. I gathered the neckline edge ever so slightly with the wash away thread, and then I pressed it flat, so I think you can see it presses nice and flat. And if you do this and you press it flat, you can adjust the gathers. You don't want to gather it too much so you see that it's gathered. You want it to press nice and flat. And basically what that did was it created a nice smooth finish here, and anything that stretched out of shape was taken care of. And that wash away thread is still in there, right? So when I wash this top, that'll go away. So I used the wash away thread to gather up the back neckline, and then I finished it with a a nice bias piece of linen. Let me get that nice and sharp so you can see. All right, so I was very pleased with the way that came out. And then the way I finished the V-neck in the front is I did a double, I sewed 2 layers of it, okay? And then I finished, first I sewed the neck, turned it, and then I treated it as 1 layer of fabric and I sewed it in. Now the way this goes together is you sew down here, and then what I did was I clipped into the corner so I could sew across here, and then I clean finished those edges. And then this, as you can see, this is not clean finished yet. I had a little fight with this because this is all one piece. So on this side, you can see it comes down and then it starts to go bias. So this is all one piece. So what I did was I sewed straight down to the end, and then I met where I did it, and I sewed here. Now, truth be told here, I'm going to have to practice getting a little bit of a better job here. I didn't snug right into that corner. You can see I'm a little bit farther from the corner. I should be at a 1/2 inch here. So I fussed around with it and I took it out a couple times, and now I think it's mad at me. So I'm going to try to fix this a little bit nicer before I clean finish this edge. And then when I put it on, I didn't sew the shoulder seams, I pinned them. So you'll notice I almost have 1 inch shoulder seam here instead of a 1/2 inch, because when I put it on, that allowed me to, you know, pull it up a little bit higher to get it to all sit nicely on my bust. So my seam allowance is going to be a little bit wider there. And then, you know, I'm going to finish that. But first I'm going to deal with this. I really have to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I'm going to use my favorite starch, Best Press, and I'm going to really starch it so it's very, very firm here, so I can get a really nice precision sewing job. Because you sewed this first, you have to leave the 1/2 inch open so it will spread like you clipped it. So I think you can see here, if I move in close here, you can see how I split open the seam, and that should create a nice square here, and it's a little bit off. So I want to try to play with that a little bit better and get a little bit better of a result there. Okay, and then my other issue is, you know, I added all this length down here, and I really feel like it's now too long. You know, it's almost like it's about 4 inches short to be a dress, and then I think it's a few inches too long to be a top. So after I finalize my neckline, get that all fixed, I'm going to put it on and mark where I want my hem to actually be, which makes me kind of sad because I wasted fabric, because, you know, when you have something on the bias, the length of it obviously takes up more yardage. So, you know, but I just want to show you here, this right here, this is the side that sews down, and you can see, like, I have a little bubble here, you know, and it doesn't look bad when it's on me, but I feel like maybe even I can get rid of a little of this fabric. Like maybe I'll trim a little bit of this edge off before I sew it back on, because it's almost like there's just a little bit too much fabric right here on this side. This side came out relatively well, but again, we know that sewing a point or sewing a right angle into a garment is fussy. So you can see it's pretty good. But again, I think I have to practice a little bit here. I mean, an option could be, and I'm laughing at myself because if you look at this top really closely, if I had a seam, if that bottom seam here went like this and kept going here, that would be the design of my T pattern. So like if this were a seam, so this was a separate piece, you know, then I would have to do something over here. I'd have to continue it on. But, you know, when you have a seam that goes all the way across, then there is no right angle to sew here. So it is different because it's a right angle, but on the other hand, it's also a little bit fussier to sew. So I'm thinking about how to make this easier to sew. But I think all in all, once I finish it and fix, you can see this is not puffy really on this side, but look at this side. See how I've got like this extra blob in here? So just to see what I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, oh, that's really bright now. Hold on. Let me make this a little darker so you can see what I'm doing. What I want to do is I want to take this out to show you what I mean. So if I have it on this side, and I think, so see right in here is where I think if I reduce a little of the fabric here, I think it'll lay nicer. So I'm just going to take that out and try it, because I'm just not 100% happy with the way this is fitting right now. So I'm just going to take out, you know, and of course my KDK bag is still in my suitcase from Minneapolis, and now I'm getting packed up to go to Lansing, Michigan, and you know, so I'm kind of starting to pack for that, because I'm leaving on Thursday next week. So no Fab Fit Friday next week, because I will be in Lansing, Michigan. But anyway, I want to have this finished so I can bring it with me. And I just want to see if I can make it look a little bit nicer. So this is the fitting issue that I really, you know, and I'm not 100% sure if it's my bad sewing or if I stretched it, because I've already taken it out once. And then I pressed all the pieces before I put it back together. So I thought I steamed it back into submission, but maybe I didn't. But of course, I also don't want to make a hole here. So let me just see if I can release this. It's really hard because I found the perfect light blue thread to match this fabric. So whenever your thread matches your fabric perfectly, that makes it harder to work with. But I want to try to take this out. All right, so I don't think I made a hole. And of course, the more I play with it, it's not finished yet, so I'm losing some seam allowance here too. So let's just take this out and let's look at it. All right, so let's see. I'm probably gonna have to take it out a little bit here. And then I'm just gonna take it out a little bit more up here. And let's turn it back so we can see. Let's lay it flat. All right, because I want this to be, all right, I don't need this yucky light anymore. Let me just make this brighter now. Okay, so see what I'm thinking is if I trim a little bit away from this edge right here. So this is the edge. I think you can see how it goes together like this, right? I think this edge right here, I'm going to offset it a little bit like this. So I'm getting rid of a little bit on the side portion here. So let me just pin that like this for a second. And then also maybe I get rid of a little over here too. So like if I like offset it like that just a little bit. I'm thinking like that. And then I have my 1/2 inch that I took out here. So if I offset it like this, so I get rid of maybe a 1/4 inch of the fabric right here, and then, you know, maybe a 1/4 inch of the fabric here, that might help it not be puffy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw a little, I'm going to draw on here so we can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to mark my 1/2 inch, okay, right to the edge right there. And then I'm going to mark the 1/2 inch going the other way. So it's got to be like this, 1/2 inch, like this here. So you can see I've got this nice clear line that I have to sew on now. And I think if I get really close, you can see what I mean. Okay, so see my white line right there? So now when I pin it on, I'm just going to remove a little of that side fabric. So I think like right here, about a 1/4 inch there. And then this is the seam that goes down around my body, the seam right here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm also going to pull it out there a little bit. So first I'm pulling it away here. You know, and I'm going to just trim a little bit because I really think this is what I need. So I'm going to literally trim this little bit away right here so I can line it right up with the edge like that. And I'm also going to trim, just going to trim it because, you know, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it'll be easier if I trim it. So I'm trimming a 1/4 inch away, and I'm just gradually blending right back to the original. And that way I won't have to guess and I won't have to offset the seams. So now I'm going to pin these back together like this. So this is going to be like, I'm sorry, like this. So now this is going to be like this. And let me just see here. All right, let me just answer some questions. Tana says, I love what you did with the washaway thread on the neckline. That would help whatever you need to ease for fabric together. Yeah, it does. And because it's on the bias, I wanted to, you know, keep it from, you know, I wanted to keep it from stretching. And Kay's asking, so isn't that where you rotated the dart? And if so, shouldn't there be some additional fullness? Okay, so when I rotated the dart, it did show up. I'll show you that in a second, but let me just finish pinning this and I'll show you. Oh, and then Holly's asking about the marker. This is a Choco liner, the new design for the Choco liner. And why is my video now stuck? All right, can you see me? I'm going to give my, all right, this is a Choco liner. It's the new either Clover or Dritz Choco liner. I love it because it has a brush on the other side. That's what this is. And all right, let me go back over here. All right, so let me finish pinning this. I think my video is back in working here. I don't know, I'm having gremlins on my computer today. All right, so we're gonna sew this and we're gonna see if this works out for me better. All right, I'm just gonna use one of these double pins here. Okay. All right, so now let's sew this and see if we get a better result. I have my machine all ready to go. Okay. All right, so we're gonna sew this. And I'm just gonna sew it like this. I know I'm on the wrong side of the presser foot, but I don't care. This is gonna be the easier way for me to do it. So I'm just gonna line myself up with my stitching like this. And I'm gonna move this pin out of the way now. And I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna hand walk it. I'm gonna stitch a couple stitches. I'm gonna back stitch a couple stitches to just secure that. Then I'm gonna sew right up to where I have to turn the corner here. And I believe it's like right there. Then I'm gonna swish this around like this. And I'm just gonna stitch down here like this. Until I get to where I'm meeting my original stitching. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this and see if this looks better. Move this out of the way. Okay, let's see if we like this better. All right, so I think you can see that this is much flatter now. It's not doing that funky, bumpy, uppy thing it was doing before so much. And I haven't even pressed it yet. Let me try it on and see if it looks better on my body. So I feel like all I did here was just trim away a little bit of this fabric right here. Let's see how it looks now on me. Okay. No, I put it on backwards. Hold on. All right, let's see how this looks. I'm gonna switch my view here. Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna put this, I gotta get my tank top under here agreeing with me. All right, so I think that's gonna look better once I press it. See, it's laying flatter now. All right, so I think I'm happy with that for this top. I've fussed with this so much that I really feel like I'm gonna finish the serge the edge, the seam that goes up, the seam that goes all the way down around to the back, and then I'm gonna give it a good press. And then I think we're gonna be good here. Again, it's not pressed yet, but I do think that's good. Now, the other thing I like is where my armhole is now. Like, I like it right here. So I'm going to just finish the armholes with a bias strip that wraps around the edge. So I'm not going to fold the seam allowance under. I'm going to just wrap the edge with a narrow bias strip because I don't want the bottom of my shirt to get any lower, the base of my armhole to get any lower, because then my bra strap will show. So I really feel like once I get this pressed, and once it's, and I'll give it a wash because I do have starch in it right now, so it's a little bit stiff because of the starch. So I think once I finish it, wash it, it's gonna look, hang nicer. And then after I wash it, then I'm gonna deal with how much to take this up, because I really feel like if it were a little bit shorter, maybe something like this. I would like it better as just a top instead of it being a tunic. But you know, I'm going to try to make this into a dress as well. So I'm going to lengthen it into a dress to see how that works out, because I do like the way this is fitting, and I think it'll be a nice bias dress as well. So it'll be a dress and a top. But I think I'm pretty pleased with this, and because I've got the double, you know, the facing and the outer fabric for this inset, or this front facing here, or front yoke, you know, it was easy to finish a nice shaped V neckline because, you know, I just sewed, you know, the V. So I'm excited and happy about that. And then I just want to show you, I hope I can show you, I hope I didn't lose or misplace my buttons. I might have put them somewhere where I can't get my hands on them right this very second. But I did get buttons for my red top, and I shared a picture of them on, oh, here they are. Let me just show you this. So this top is going to get finished in time to go to Lansing as well, because, let me just show you something else. I got these buttons off of Etsy, and if anybody's interested, I will find the link and I'll put it in the description of this video. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a cool tool that involves sewing on something that helps sew a button on Monday, and I'll put a link to these buttons if you're interested in them. But I just want to show you, I did an Instagram post about this, but remember when I wore this top and everyone, not everyone, but some people commented that they really liked the buttons that I had closing the shirt. Well, those buttons were actually these pins. So I just want to show you how close I was able to get these little, they're little hand-dyed buttons, but you can see they're a little bit smaller than the pin. So they're going to be small. And I hope that's not going to be annoying, you know, because they are kind of small. I think they're actually doll close buttons, if truth be told. But out of all of my searches, this was the closest thing I could find to these pin heads. So maybe I'll just put them a little bit closer. You know, like maybe every 4 inches or so, I'll put a button. Because you have to buy them in, you know, in I think 20 or 25 was the smallest amount you could buy, but I got 8 buttons. I mean, for $8, I got all these buttons. So I think, you know, I will maybe do, you know, like that. So I think these will be cute on here. So then this shirt will be finished as well. So I'll have 2 linen shirts that I can wear instead of wearing all my knit tops. So I'm kind of excited. And if you remember, this pattern is started out as the pattern I'm wearing here. So I've actually created, you know, a button-down shirt with the shirt. I created the button-down shirt with that pattern, and then I packed it into this. So I got 2 very different looks starting with the same pattern. So I think that's really cool. So if any of you are interested in, you know, trying that, if you have a button-down shirt that you're making sleeveless tops with, or even if it has a sleeve, I guess it doesn't matter because I didn't change the armhole here. I mean, I did have to pick it up a little bit, but you can try following along with making the pattern. And speaking of that, now that I've showed you these buttons, and I'm going to sew these buttons on and get this ready to bring with me to Lansing, I want to just show you some things. I want to show you the actual pattern for this blue top, and I just want to show you where I made some changes. Okay, so if you remember, okay, so what I did was, the first thing I did, I just want to show you the back here. Let me just show you this. This will work out to show you what I'm doing here. All right, let me switch my view. Okay, so I want to show you, this is the back neckline right here. I'm just going to put a paper, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. All right, this is my back neckline, and this would be the shoulder that gets sewn to the back neckline, right? And you can see they match now. And the reason why they match now is because both the front and back had extra pieces that sewed onto them. And what did I just do with my little... I just had it here 1 second ago. Oh God, that's so annoying. All right, I don't know what happened to my little back neckline, so I'm just going to explain to you what I did. I had that little piece that went here, right? My little extra band that I sewed in here. So what I did was, when I was wearing my top, I measured how much I could remove here without my bra showing. Okay, so I put on the original muslin and I looked to see how much I could take off, and the answer for that was 5/8 of an inch. So what I did was, you know, if you want to make your neckline more open, it's really good idea to put it on with the bra you're going to wear, so you can see how far you can, you know, trim back the neckline without your bra strap showing. So that's what I did. And so then after I realized it was 5/8, I added 3/8 inch seam allowance, because I knew I was going to be sewing, you know, making 2 of these and sewing the neckline together. And then I trimmed off the other 5/8. And then I had to do that to the back as well, but instead of trimming anything away, I had to add, because remember, this was a separate piece. So my original neckline was here. This was my original back neckline, okay, because I was sewing that band on, right? So I'll just draw half of it. So I actually had to add paper so I could add the 5/8 in. You know what I mean? And then I decided to also raise it up at center back here. I raised it up 3/4 of an inch here. So it was up against my back neckline. Okay, so I added paper, add the 5/8 to then, you know, make this match, and I threw away the little piece that was the extra to sew on. So that saved me a lot of time, and that's why I just finished it with that bias linen strip. So that's how I simplified the design. So before I sewed the shoulder seams, and actually before I sewed anything together on this big pattern piece, okay, so before I sewed anything on here, I finished the edge with the linen strip first, and I sewed my neckline, and then I put everything together. So that's kind of how I worked with it. So that is the progress on my linen top, which, you know, I'm really, you know, I really like it. I'm excited to see how it looks after it's completely finished, after I finish the armholes, and then after I wash it. Because again, remember, I have, you know, I have the starch in here, so it's not as, you know, soft and flowy as it was. So those are my little things I wanted to talk about today. Let me just see here. Does anyone else, let's just see. Okay. Okay, so I think I've answered all the, oh wait, there's more questions. Are there more questions? There are more questions. Kaya's Loki says, I'm looking forward to seeing the final product. Is this a pattern you have? Okay, so I will be making this into a pattern to sell. And I'm also going to make the pattern that I was wearing, the pink dress, I'm going to make that into a pattern to sell too. So I'll have a little mini bias top collection. So I will be making these 2 patterns into you know, new additions for my collection. So I will be getting to that as well. I have so many things I want to do. And everything takes me forever because I do everything myself. So that's my little issue. But basically, I'm having a ball playing with these things. And I think, you know, something like this is a really cool design for people because you can make it loose and flowy. And if you want to make it into a tunic and wear it with leggings, I think that would look nice. Like, I could keep this long and then wear it with leggings, or I could wear it with slender board short length shorts, like to my knee, or capri pants maybe. But you know, you have to do things like, if you're going to wear something that's loose and flowy on top, whatever you put on the bottom has to be sort of slender or fitted, because otherwise you'll have, you know, if you have loose fitting pants on and a loose fitting top on, that creates a larger silhouette. So I'm going to play with the proportion of this, and like I said, I probably will shorten the hem a little bit because I think it's a little bit too long now. It's too long for a top and it's too short for a dress. So I'm in a weird sort of way here with all this extra fabric in my lap, but I will work on that and get that, you know, straightened out. So I'm excited. My blue buttons came. I'm going to finish that shirt. I'm going to finish this. So I'll have 2 new tops. And then the next fabric I'm going to work with is that printed silk. So if you remember, I had a black printed silk. That was another thing in my summer sewing. I think I might make that into this as a dress. So I'm very excited about that because that'll feel like heaven on. So I think you'll be seeing this pattern as dress with the long black printed silk. And of course now I'm looking for where it is piled on my room so I can show it to you. And of course I don't know what I did with it at this hot minute, so I'm not going to run around and look for it, but I'm excited. Oh, you know what, Kay? I think you're right. I think it was Taylor Seville, now that you say that. Let me just look quick. Hold on. Hold 1 minute. I think it is. I think it is. I think it is. Hold on. Oh, it is. All right. Hold on 1 second. Let me find a link for you. The least expensive link I can find is with the Hancock's of Paducah. Has a yellow version. And it's on sale right now for $14.99. Control A, Control S. Oops, nope. Control C, and then I'm gonna, let me just stick it in the chat for you. So this is from oh, is it gonna work? Hold on. Control C. Let me see if I can share this with you. It's a big long link. Oh, you know what? It won't go. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to send you to hold on. Oh, wait a minute. This link is too long to be in the chat box, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to send you to Hancock's in Paducah. Uh-oh, I just shut my off. Shoot. Oh my God. All right, sorry about that. I clicked off the wrong thing. So here is the link to Paducah. Oh, Amazon for $18. All right, so it depends on your shipping, I guess. So there's a link to Hancock and Paducah. They have the yellow one on sale for $15, or you can get it from Amazon. And I think I did a cool tool on it as well. So I did do it there, and there must be an Amazon affiliate link there. But anyway, so there's the Paducah. I'm sorry I came and went for a second. And yeah. All right, so those are all the things I have to talk about for today. And I just want to thank everyone for joining me. No Fab Fit Friday next week because I'm going to be in Lansing, Michigan teaching pants fitting. I am excited. The last spot filled, so it's a full class. And it's in a really cool shop. If you're in Lansing, Michigan, make sure you head over to Seams Fabric and Mercantile in Lansing. It's a really cool store, and I'm very excited to go there. Jessie is the owner, and she's very cool. I met with her on Zoom to finish planning our event earlier this week, so she's very cool. I'm gonna have Carol from Ditto Form there. It's gonna be a really fun event. So I'm very excited. So that's what I'm prepping for next week. I will have a cool tool, and I will have a fit tip for next week, but no Fab Fit Friday. So I want to thank everybody for joining me, and I hope you have a nice weekend. Kay is saying, I don't fly. Do I ever do in-person workshops near Central Texas? Well, I haven't done one in Texas, so that could be a possibility in future. I am going to try to fit one more in my calendar, so I'll look at that, and I'll see what I can dream up, for a location. I was thinking Tennessee, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I haven't been to Texas either. So stay tuned, because I will be adding one more 3-day pants fitting into my schedule for this year. I just have to find a weekend for it and a location. So stay tuned for that as well, because if anybody is trying to fit pants, I will tell you that in my 3-day pants fitting classes, everybody leaves with pants that are wearable, because, we really take our time and we learn how to sew. We learn how to fit pants while we're fitting pants, if that makes sense to you. So it's not just a slap it together, fit the pattern and take it home, and now you have one pattern that fits you. I really try to teach you how to do fitting during this workshop. So I will be offering one more at some point this year, so stay tuned for that. And I'll share it with you here. And also, if you're on my newsletter, that's the best way to keep track of how to, know what I'm teaching, because I always advertise in there as well. So that would be my report. And thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Fab Fit Friday. All right, but I will be posting some things from Lansing, so be sure to check that out as well. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. I'm signing off. Bye.